Hello everyone, it is Wednesday night and that means it's time for another Facebook Live. I am going to, while you are finding me, I will get this shared to my group in case there's somebody looking for the video there. If my laptop will, oh my goodness, it's being so slow. We'll see if we get it shared tonight or not. I mean, I bet I waited 3 minutes for it to pull up one screen earlier. Usually that means I need to restart it and update, but last time I restarted it, it didn't have an update, and I don't know that it's helped any. So, hopefully you're having a good week. I got to take care of my grandson yesterday afternoon, all afternoon. That was a blast. He was so fun. He's not quite 2. He'll be 2 in May, and he's just a lot of fun. We really have a good time. We're so thankful that my son and his wife and our grandson live close by, so we get to see them often. All right, we're getting there. It only took like 30 seconds for that. We are almost at the end of Sale-a-Bration. So that's what I've been trying to do this week, is share some more Sale-a-Bration things. We have what's today, Wednesday? Next Tuesday is the last day to get Sale-a-Bration items. So Sale-a-Bration, if you're not familiar, is they come out with this brochure, and it's good in January and February. There were a couple of years that we did July and August also, but they've stopped that, and it's just January and February. It used to be January, February, and March, but now it's just January and February. And for every $50 that you spend, you get to pick out something free. Oh my goodness. My laptop. So we started with this brochure, and there are stamp sets. You've seen that's no longer available. That gorgeous paper is no longer available. We used this paper last week. I am using this stamp set. This is just a nice sentiment stamp set. I'm using that on the card tonight. This beautiful paper. So I checked yesterday, I believe it was, and the only thing that was not available was that one paper, and I have not checked today to see if anything else is gone. This set is what I've been sharing earlier this week. So all of those were free with a $50 purchase. Now this one is free with a $100 purchase, and I've shared that before. And then this paper, we used it 1 week too, and it's free with a $100 purchase. But what I'm using tonight is this set. So it's a host set that you get with a $300 order or party. So if you don't want to spend $300 yourself, you can have some friends, do a party, and you can get this free. And they just automatically will put it in with the order. So that's what we're playing with tonight. Now they did add some extra stuff from the annual catalog that's also free. And so there's a couple of kits. There's some ribbon. With the ribbon, you get 2 spools, embossing folder, a couple of embossing folders. This is a mask, some designer series paper. Those are all $50, free with $50 purchase. And then this is free with a $100 purchase. And that's a really pretty bundle. I should have pulled some cards. Maybe I can do that later this week or over the weekend. And then the last thing I want to remind you about Sale-a-Bration is they always have a really good joining special during Sale-a-Bration. So the normal joining special is you get $125 worth of product for $99, no shipping on that order. So that's a great deal. You get, $26 in free stuff, and you get a paper pumpkin in there. During Sale-a-Bration, they always have extra special joining things, and so you have 3 options. The option 3 is pretty much like the regular joining special, but you get $175 of product for $99. So that's a great deal. So if you've got a long wish list from the mini catalog or the annual catalog, you can get any of that. This is a great thing. Then the other 2 are $129. You still get $175 worth of product, but then you also get one of the mini cut and emboss machines for half price. So these are $60. You get it for $30 basically. So you're taking the $99 joining, normal joining, adding $30 for the machine for $129, but you still get $175 in product, not counting this. And the reason there are two options for that is you see this pretty blue one. That is boho blue. So a little sneak peek of a new color that we're going to have. I think it's a new, in color. So it's an in color preview. So you can either get the boho blue or the regular white one that's in the annual catalog. So those are your three options. As I always tell you, you do not have to do what I do if you do not want to have classes. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do videos, whatever you want to do, that you can just get a discount on your stamps and your supplies. All right, let's see if we're about here on my laptop now. So if you're interested in that, just reach out and let me know, and I can tell you even more. All right, we're about there on my laptop, maybe. Oh my. So the stamp set we're using tonight, like I said, is this Scenic Garden. And I'll show you at the end a couple of other cards that I made with that'll be posted on Facebook later. So we're using that, and then we're also using the Sending Support stamp set. And this is free with a $50. This is the one that with a $300 order or party, you get that one free. Okay, we're almost there. And then we can get to stamping hopefully soon. So we're going to do a little technique with this. So let me show you. So I was playing around with this particular stamp. And I was trying to color it. And I did that. And I wasn't happy with it. It just looked kind of like a bunch of blobs sitting there. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do that will look good and won't look, I don't know. I wasn't pleased with that when I got it done. So that was using our blending marker. Yeah, blending markers. Blends. Sorry, Stampin' Blends. So I thought, well, let me see what else I can think of to do. All right, we're almost there. So I am using our water painters. So these come 3 to a package. And you've got like this, the one I'm using tonight. I want to drip water all over. Is a real thin tip. And then you also have a medium. Let me just show you real quick. A medium tip. And then this really nice wide. So this is really good for watercolor wash in the background of something. So those all come together. 3 different tips, but tonight we're using the little one. And let's get started. All right, so I've got a piece of crumb cake. I cut this with the stitched rectangles dies. We'll stamp this pot of flowers. Hi, buddy. In soft suede. On our crumb cake. There we go. Oh, and while we have that out, let's do our sentiment too. Set that aside for just a minute. And so, like I said, this is from the Sending Support that you can get free with a $50 purchase. So let's see if I can do this without being right over it. It's always a challenge to get it straight when you're not right over it. No, that's not too bad. I forgot to mention, everybody that comments on this video will be in the drawing to win this card next week. Last week we made this card using this fun designer series paper, the On the Farm designer series paper. So at the end I'll tell you who won that one. If I can remember, that's always a challenge. All right, so now let's have some fun. Now, with our stamp pads, if you want to do any kind of watercoloring with the ink, you can squish them. These ones are a little tougher than our old stamp pads to squish. What I prefer, and this is our Whisper White, so when you purchase this one, it comes with a stamp pad like this, but it's not inked, and then you get the re-inker with it. Because they were having so much trouble with that white leaking when it was getting shipped. So they just started, you know, sending them separate. So what I like to do is just take a block, and we'll see if I have to re-ink this. Oh no, that's good. That's good. So I just like to get some ink on my block. I'm going to close this up so I don't. And then you take your water painter, and you can see where it says push there. That's where you want to put your fingers. And you squeeze some water out. Now for this one, I don't want a lot of water. I want it to be almost like a dry brush. So I'm not going to squeeze a lot of water in there. And then I'm just going to dab this on where those flowers are. And again, I'm not right over it, so this will be a challenge. And I'm just making little whitewash flowers on here. There's some little ones. I think there's one there. And then if you want to go back over, you can. If you want to make it just a little bit more white. Let's get some up here. And you can see I don't have a lot of water, so there's not a lot of water pooling on my cardstock, which is good with our regular cardstock. Now, if I was doing a watercolor wash on our, like our shimmer white, then I could use more water. But with our regular cardstock, you don't want to use a lot of water with it. Lots of little flowers up on this part. Put a little bit more on there. All right, oh, there's another one up there. And you know, if you don't get them all, it's fine. Just put a little bit more on some of these to make them stand out a little bit more. Because you're doing this kind of wash, you'll see that the outline of the flowers is coming through too, so you can still see. I think that looks good. So now we have these pretty white flowers on there. You just clean that off. Now let me grab a paper towel. To clean your water painters, I'm going to move this because I do not want to make a mess out of that. You just get a paper towel and you just squeeze water out and just brush it until you don't have. Now this one you can't see the color because it's white. So I am actually going to do this just because that white ink is a craft ink. And so it is a pigment ink. It's not a water-based ink. It's a little bit different. So I want to make sure I get the white out of there. Okay. Now I couldn't decide, you know, you could just leave it like that. But I decided to do a little bit. Let me grab another block. Normally I would just clean off the block I'd used and use it for the next color, but I don't want to make you wait for me to do that. So we'll just grab another block. So this is soft seafoam, which is a real soft green. And the reason I'm using these soft colors is because I want it to just be a wash. I don't want it to be a real dark. This is really hard to tell if I've got some on there. That may need to be re-inked. But we'll see. We'll get it. So where did I lay that? Man, I can't even tell if there's any. Yeah, there's some on there. So then I just put a little bit of green. So again, it's just to add a little bit of color, a little bit of a wash. This you won't see as much, probably on the camera especially. And we could get a darker green so it would show up, but I wanted it to just be a real soft. Just a little bit of green color in here. There, you can kind of see it up there a little better. All right, so we just added a little bit of green to it. All right, and then again, put my fingers in the right place, and there you can see the green. So I just do that until I don't see how it's clear now? I don't see any green coming out. And then for the last thing, I decided to take some of the crumb cake, which is what this cardstock is. Get some more on there. Now you can also take a re-inker and put a little dot on there and use it, especially if you're wanting more color. We're doing, you know, not much color, so. And so I just took, let's do a little bit darker. So I'm just putting a little bit of the crumb cake on this pot. Now you do have to be careful. You don't want to do too much of this because then your cardstock will start to pill up. Like I said, this cardstock is not meant to be doing watercolor techniques on. But you can just add a little bit of color to your pot. And there we go. So now we've got a little bit of green, some whitewashed flowers, and some crumb cake added to our pot. All right, let me clean my water painter again. That one didn't have too much on it, but all right. Set that aside. We're ready to put our card together. So this is soft suede. Forgot all my things earlier. We've got a piece of soft suede cardstock. And then another piece that I've embossed on, and this is the Timeless type or something like that embossing folder. So it's just a nice, you know, just a soft background. I just thought it went well with this style of image. So before we put that on, we will wrap this piece of Early Espresso ribbon around it. So we'll do that and then tie it in a knot. And I forgot to mention earlier, if you're not familiar with this, on my blog, after this video is done, I will put the dimensions to this card. So if you want to recreate it, then you can do that. All right, come here. And then let's move that all the way over. So you can move it once you've tied it. We want it all the way over to this side so that we've got room for our other image. Trim that a little bit. Now when you've got an embossed piece like this, I like to use my liquid glue just because it gets in all these little crevices better and will hold it. Put that on the front. And I like this tone on tone like this. So that piece is just a little bit smaller. And then I have a just piece of basic white to put on the inside. This soft suede is kind of a dark color, so it would be hard to write on the inside of it. So we just take a piece of basic white, again, cut a little bit smaller, and just put that on the inside. And if you wanted to stamp another one of your little pots, you could, but I didn't on this one. And then we have another stitched rectangle. It's just the next size up. And we'll put our watercolored paper on there, our image. So that will separate it a little bit from the background. And now we will use dimensionals to pop this up over the ribbon. So in this case, you won't want to put a dimensional in the middle. So you want that to go over the ribbon. set that in there. Scoot it up just a little bit because we have sentiment that we stamped. Grab my scissors real quick. And I like to cut one end off like that, just a little extra. And then we can cut that. And again, I'll use my liquid glue since it's going to be going directly on that embossed piece. Just put that down here. I'm lining it up with that smaller piece. And there you go. There's our card. So some little whitewash and a little bit of green and crumb cake. And I like that much better than my original colored one that just looked kind of blobby to me. All right, a couple of other cards I made, and I said these will be on my Facebook post the rest of this week. But this is, so I made one with each focal stamp of the set. And then this one, there are some just like greenery, hollyhocks or some kind of flowers there. So I put those on the designer series paper in the background, if you can see them there. And it does have some like little pebbles that you could put underneath your bench if you wanted to. So that was the one with the bench. And then the other one, we've been playing in Kay's technique class with the spotlight technique. So I did that for this one. So I stamped the whole image. Now this is kind of a small image to do that. I could have done it with a bench, but I was playing around. So you just color one part of it, but you stamp it also behind and then just line it up. And then this is that same sentiment. Both of these also use the sending support sentiments. So there you go. There is Scenic Garden. Again, everybody that comments on this video here on Facebook will be in the drawing to win this card next week. And, oh, I almost forgot, didn't I? Last week, we made this fun farm card, and the winner is Nancy. So I will get that card to her. All right, that is it for this evening. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.